It's Jane, and today we're going to talk about chapters 13 to the end in The Tiger Rising by Kate DiCamillo. And so Kate DiCamillo is a really famous author. Was written lots of other books like Because of Winn-Dixie, and of course, yes, The Tiger Rising, The Tale of Despereaux, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, The Magician's Elephant, Flora and Ulysses, Raymie Nightingale, Louisiana's Way Home, Beverly Right Here. Those are really all famous. So Because of Winn-Dixie is a Newbery Honor book. Tale of Despereaux and Flora and Ulysses are both Newbery Medal winning books. The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane and The Magician's Elephant are just really big, good bestsellers, and I love both of those books. And finally, Raymie Nightingale, that is a National Book Award finalist. And then, Louisiana's Way Home, also another bestseller. So all her books are really just really cool, and I really like all of them actually. So I hope that you enjoyed this book, The Tiger Rising, part 2 of because I really like this book, and I hope that you really like it. It's a National Book Award finalist. That means it's a really good book. It's a National Book Award itself. Really hard to get, okay? So let's just dive right into the world of Sistine, Rob, and many other things, right? So, what do you think about Sistine's past life? Do you think it's sad, or like what would be a few words that you would use to describe Sistine's past life? And when you hear that, like, how do you feel towards Sistine? I feel a little sad and sorry for her, but I also feel a little mad that everything like that happened, right? She could have gotten a better life. So, do you think that Sistine really cares about shoes or stuff like that? Yeah, and she doesn't really care. Why do you think that she doesn't really care? And do you think that Sistine's life is suddenly going to be better when Sistine's dad comes or not? What do you think? And so, how do you think that Rob, right? Do you think that Rob here, do you think that the way he thinks of Beauchamp, do you think that he sort of like Beauchamp owns everything? Which is not true, right? And Beauchamp, why isn't that maybe Rob not really fears him, but really just thinks that maybe he's a little powerful, even if he doesn't really like Beauchamp? What do you think? And so, what do you think are a few differences between Rob and Sistine? And what do you like? Do you like how Sistine does things or how Rob does things? No offense to Rob, but I really like Sistine's way because Rob is just too careful, too cautious at times, and that just at times really, I don't like it because if he's not that brave, then he's never gonna really make it through life because life has its own adventures, right? It's not gonna be plain and monotonous so Rob needs to face that, right? And so, finally, the thing is, Sistine keeps on saying, where's your mom? Where's your mom? Where's your mom? Do you think that she has a right to know? And do you think that Rob needs to tell her, or do you think that if she wants, he can tell her, or if he doesn't, he doesn't have to? If he doesn't, he doesn't have to, if he doesn't want to. And so, Sistine did not take this, right? When Rob said he was not going to tell, Sistine said this: I don't want nosy, you stupid tiger, she shouted. I don't care about it. You don't know how to talk to people. I told you about my father and my mother and Bridget, and you didn't say anything. You won't even tell me about your mother. And so, and then after that, it said, keeping her hands on her hips, she turned around and started marching back to the direction of the Kentucky Star. Keep your stupid secrets, she shouted. Keep your stupid tiger too. I don't care. So here, do you think that, why do you think the system really cares about this so much? And if you had been Rob, would you have, at the end, would you have like, okay, fine, I did, my mom's dead. Would you have said that, or would you have just walked away? Well, I would have just walked away because, I mean, if she's going to be that nosy, then why meet her? But maybe I would try to steal the friendship like Rob did, but I think that I would also be pretty annoyed. Why keep on nosing around like that? And so, why do you think that Rob suddenly was like, wait up? Why do you think so? Why didn't that one Sistine was far away? And then so, when Rob just said, my mama's dead, Sistine said, okay. And okay, I'm gonna read the last paragraph of this chapter. It says this. Okay, says Sistine. She gave a quick professional nod of her head. She stepped toward him, and Rob turned, and together they walked back in the other direction toward the tiger. So Sistine was like, okay. If you had been Sistine, would you have said, okay, or would you, I'm so sorry about that? Well, here's the thing. If I had been Rob, then it would be a little annoying for people to say, I'm so sorry about that. But maybe it would help me, and I'd be like, really? I'm sorry I asked about that. I'm sorry. But I wouldn't be like, I'm so sorry about that. I wouldn't be like gushing over him, because I'm pretty sure that would also be pretty annoying to Rob. And now, do you think that the tiger, when they go back to the tiger, do you think that the tiger will still be there, or do you think that the tiger will have disappeared? Because if you go into chapter 1 of this book, it said, let's see if I can find it. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to read just chapter 1, okay? This is chapter 1, just the first page or so, okay? Chapter 1. That morning after he discovered the tiger, Rob went and stood under the Kentucky Star Motel sign and waited for the school bus just like it was any other day. The Kentucky Star sign was composed of a yellow neon star that rose and fell over a piece of blue neon in the shape of the state of Kentucky. Rob liked the sign. He harbored a dim but abiding notion that it would bring him good luck. Finding the tiger had been luck. He knew that. He had been out in the woods behind the Kentucky Star Motel, just way out in the woods. Not really looking for anything, just wandering, hoping that maybe he would get lost or get eaten by a bear and not have to go to school ever again. That's when he saw an old Beauchamp gas station building, all boarded up and tumbling down. Next to it, there was a cage, and inside the cage, unbelievably, there was a tiger. A real-life, very large tiger pacing back and forth. He was orange and gold and so bright it was like staring at the sun itself, angry and trapped in a cage. It was early morning and it looked like it might rain, so it had been raining every day for almost 2 weeks. The sky was gray and the air was thick and still. Fog was hugging the ground. To Rob, it seemed as if the tiger was some magic trick rising out of the mist. He was so astounded at his discovery, so amazed that he stood and stared. But only for a minute. He was afraid to look at the tiger for too long, afraid that the tiger would disappear. He stared and then he turned back and ran back into the woods toward the Kentucky Star. And the whole way home his brain doubted what he had seen. While his brain doubted what he had seen, his heart beat out truth to him. Tiger, tiger, tiger. So here, it said to Rob, it seemed as if the tiger was some magic trick rising out of the mist. And like he kept on staring, but then he thought, but only for a minute. He was afraid to look at the tiger for too long, afraid that the tiger would disappear. So he isn't really trusting himself, right? He's like, is that tiger real? And when Rob and Sistine come back, do you think that the tiger will still be there, or do you think that somehow it will have magically disappeared? What do you think? And if so, do you think that Sistine will keep believing him, or do you think that she's going to be like, you liar, and walk away? What do you think? Or do you think that everything's going to be alright? Okay, chapter 14. And, well, the tiger's still there, right? And so if you happen Sistine wants to let the tiger free. Rob doesn't. Who do you agree with here? Do you think that Rob is the sensible one or Sistine is the sensible one? I like Sistine's strategy better. Rob is too, no offense, but he's really passive in my opinion. And we shouldn't be passive about things. Like, we have to stand up for ourselves, right? And so, still, Sistine's, even if it's good, I think I would call the WWF World Wildlife Organization or some place that help tigers, and then I would be like, okay, we got a tiger here illegally, and then it would be in a safe place, right? Sistine, like when it goes out, it would just live in the Florida woods, but that's not its habitat. If the people find out, then they could transport the tiger back to India or just Asia in general to where it belonged. I think that would be good. And so do you think that Rob here, right? Do you think that Rob and Sistine, do you think that they make a good team even if they have their differences? And do you think that maybe their differences help them being a good team? And if so, why? And then there was Beauchamp. He just rode right up. And did you think that Sistine and Rob were going to Sistine and Rob were gonna get found out or not? And now I have another question. Sistine said, "Stop shrugging your shoulders at me. I hate it. I hate the way you shrug all the time." Like, do you shrug a lot? And if you do, if someone else does, like, do you like it or not? It's a little annoying. I just like people to actually just say, not shrug, 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 shrug. I mean, Willie May said that he looked like a skinny bird trying to fly. I thought that was pretty funny. And then the last paragraph says this. Then Rob remembered the name of the feeling that was pushing up inside me, filling him full to overflowing. It was happiness. That was what it was called. So it's been so long since he felt happiness that he's sort of even forgetting what it is called. Now, have you not felt an emotion for so long that you forget what it is? Luckily, no. I have all my emotions. Like, one day it's sad, one day it's happy, which is good because if you always have happy things, then there won't be any sad things. And if everything is sad, then there won't be any happy things. But that won't be, duh, but I think that, the first one, if there aren't any sad things, there aren't any happy things, that's really important, right? Because if there wasn't any sad things, there wouldn't be anything to compare the happy things to, so it'll just become normal things, regular normal things. And then we're gonna move on, okay? We're gonna move on to chapter 15. So, now do you think that Rob's father really approves of Sistine or not? What do you think? And so, I have another question, and what I wanted to talk about was, do you think that Sistine, she was pretty surprised when she learned that there was no phone in Rob's house? And now, were you surprised about this? And do you have a phone or telephone in your house? And now, so we see that there's nobody really to call. So why have any phone? And even that without a phone or even a telephone, it will be hard to get by. And why not? Well, I've texted my friends, right? I mean, we don't text about a lot of things, but me and my friend, we were like, hey, can you come over to my birthday party at 2:00 on Saturday? Stuff like that. I just say yes to. And also, really, if like without texting, like we don't call each other mostly. We just text, like, or I could say, hey, can you come over to my house at 3 o'clock today? I mean on Sunday, something like that. And then we would always come. So it's sort of like we text for those reasons. And also, my mom and dad, they phone lots of people. So without a phone, we will be off pretty hard. But maybe Rob but if you put yourself in Rob's shoes, like, you wouldn't really need any phone. And now, so do you think that Rob remembers this Christmas, right? And everyone was so happy. And then Rob and so here's the last paragraph. It says, Rob remembered, and as he remembered, he stepped into the motel room. He shook his head and scolded himself for opening his suitcase. Just thinking about all the things that were gone now seemed to make the darkness darker, right? And so, do you think that it actually is making the darkness darker, or do you think that if he let all the memories just wash over him, open his suitcase, let all his emotions out, do you think that would make the darkness go away? I think that would make the darkness go away, but just because he's just letting out these small memories, they're getting buried in the darkness. It's like if you march into a cave unprepared, then the darkness will swallow you up, right? And you'll probably die because you won't find your way back. Or maybe you'll fall, and I don't know, maybe there's like multiple passages and you'll fall and you'll kill yourself, or maybe a stalactite will stab you. I have no idea. But what I do know is that that's when you're unprepared, right? You're small, and you can get swallowed by the darkness, like that one small memory. But if you're prepared and go into the cave with matches, flashlight, maybe a map of that cave if it's mapped, right? And also, finally, maybe some food, just in case you get lost. Maybe even a compass and a lantern, right? Now suddenly everything's better. Oh yeah, and also some extra batteries. Then, now everything's suddenly better. Because now you're prepared, right? You even have a backpack, some water, food. And now, that's more prepared. And to our memory would be more prepared, and maybe there would be more memories surrounding it, right? And that will maybe make the darkness go away. Because just one memory can't really make the darkness go away. The darkness is stronger, and it'll just swallow it up. Now, it's sort of like a black hole, really. Even though a black hole can pretty much get everything. I mean, like, some black holes are so strong, they can just crush you in a millisecond. And really, it's so strong in some places, it can even bend light. Isn't that wild? How can just bending light, think about it, bending light, like we can't touch light, but it's so strong it can even bend light. It's really cool. I watched a video about it, or maybe that video was just wrong, but I heard something about bending light. It was so cool. So it's really strong. So that darkness in Rob right now is sort of like a black hole, sucking all the good things up. Well, maybe it would suck some bad things up, but I think that you get the point, right? Like light, I consider a good thing. So that would be sucking up something bad. Now, chapter 16. Do you think that Sistine and Rob's relationship, like, what would you describe it as? Like, do you think it's shaky and not good, or do you think it has a good foundation and it's sort of not going good? I have to say it's half-half. Like, it doesn't have the best foundation in the world, but it isn't shaky either. It's just in the middle. And then so, do you think that Sistine and Rob are ever going to go to Italy? And here's one thing. Do you think that Sistine, right? Do you think that Sistine now sort of wants to go with Rob to? Do you think that Sistine before she was just at the beginning of the book she sort of criticized Rob, but now do you think that it will? She even says that maybe they could go together, right? That's a big improvement. I was surprised. What about you? Were you surprised, or were you like, I knew that Sistine was gonna say this? I don't know. Both of it, I guess. So, do you think that Do you think that the tiger should just stay under that, or should stay in that cage because it's, or do you think that the tiger should get free? What do you think? Because it can't even see the stars, which is terrible. So what do you think? Okay, now terrible. That was a little too dramatic. But then again, without the stars, it'll be pretty terrible to me. Stars are a huge part of my life. And if stars were like, hey, I think I'm gonna just leave for tonight, la la la, and they hitchhike somewhere, I would not be happy. Not at all. Now, suddenly, Mrs. Bailey comes. But before that, how did that maybe just say Caroline, Rob's mother's name? How do you think that sort of helped Rob? Do you think that helped Rob at all? And if so, how? Like, how do you think that it helped Rob really? Just, or do you think it didn't help Rob at all? Well, it helped because he's been hiding this pressure, and when he says Caroline, this pressure, it softens a little. I'm not saying that it's gone, but it still isn't like this. See, so much pressure. Now it's just, ow, my hand is hurting. I put too much pressure on it. Basically like how Rob feels. If he puts too much pressure, he hurts. He needs to get this pressure softened. Ow, my hands hurt again. Ouch. And do you think that Sistine really likes her mom? And if so, do you think that Mrs. Bailey really likes Sistine? Or do you think they both just don't really like each other? I mean, I guess they like each other, but in the end, they aren't on the best terms. You could say that at least, right? And so, Rob kept on saying, Caroline, 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 Caroline. And it said the word was as sweet as forbidden candy on his tongue. What's better than just candy? Forbidden candy. Why is forbidden candy so sweet? Because you're sneaking in and eating. That's better than just eating it, right? Because now you have this triumph mixed in with the sweetness. And so, why not the Caroline is so good to Rob? Why do you think it helps him? Why do you think it makes him just feel so good and it tastes so good on his tongue? So sweet. What do you think? Now, chapter 17. Okay, here. So Willie Mae said that she had a bird, but she let it free. Do you think that she did the right thing and that Willie Mae's dad was wrong? And if you had been Rob, would you have been disappointed because Willie Mae said that they should free any living creature? What do you think? And if you had been Willie Mae, would you have also freed it? I wouldn't have freed it. I know I sound a little cruel, but I wouldn't free it. But instead, I would keep it in the best condition possible. Like the cage would be sparkling, and I would let it roam around a little. I mean, I could clean up messes like bird poop, so I could clean up those. I'm just saying, I don't think that I'll let it free. I'll let it go around the house as long as it doesn't come back. So I think, yeah, it'll roam around the house, but it would not go outside because one, it's been a pet store bird, so it couldn't possibly survive. I know, it's sad, but it can survive, so I'll actually be just letting it die. I know that. And now, so, do you think that, do you think that Rob, after he thought that, did you think that really helped Rob, with his argument about not letting the tiger free, or do you think it sort of discouraged it? Because Billy Way was beat by his daddy, so her daddy, so that might sort of be one reason why they shouldn't free the tiger. But Willie Mae also says that just freeing the bird was good. So what do you think? In the end, do you think that it helped Rob's argument that they should not free the tiger, or do you think that it didn't help at all and maybe it just caused the argument to go down a little? What do you think here? So, do you think, why in the world, Why shoot a bird just to see that you cut? Like, is that fair? Like, if someone said, "I'm gonna shoot you just to make people see I can," that's unfair. And Rob cries, and that's when Rob's father says, "Don't cry. It's just a bird." Is it just a bird? Like, if you had died and someone said, "Don't cry, it's just a person," how would you feel? You would feel very offended. And if you had been Rob, what would you have done to your father? Chapter 18. Okay? And then Beauchamp came, right? So, do you think that Beauchamp, this is sort of like the first time we actually say hello and we actually meet Beauchamp, right? Is he a really nice guy, in your opinion? I do not like him. And do you think that Rob's being too polite in front of Beauchamp and he should just say no and kick out the syrup part? I think he should totally kick out the syrup part. And no, it still sounds a little too obedient. What about just nope? That sounds better. And yes, sir. No way. Yup. That sounds better. Not better than yes. It feels more like you're fighting back. And so, Beauchamp, right? Beauchamp. If Beauchamp actually found out that Robin knew about this tiger and Rob's friend wanted to free it, do you think that Beauchamp would have given Rob this job? And if Beauchamp ever found out about that, maybe Rob was going to set free, what do you think that Beauchamp would have done? And then now, do you think that Beauchamp, he thinks that he's like the big boss? He isn't. Why do you think that he's such a bully anyway? Like, do you think it was just a bully from birth? Like when he was born, like, and he opened his eyes, he was like, "I'm gonna become a bully." Or do you think it's just because how he was raised? What do you think? Maybe he wasn't raised the best. Maybe he was like kicked in. Maybe he wasn't raised well, and so he learned that cruelty from everybody else, from his parents and everybody around him, and that's why he's so cruel. You know, I mean, that might rub off. Cruelty might rub off on a kid. Like, yeah, it could rub off on any kid really. And then so now, and then how do you think that you would have done a good job on like saying that you're really surprised about the tiger? Would you be like, wow? And Beauchamp would be like, you faker, and you'll be busted. What do you think? Well, before that, let's just go to chapter 19 because that's where it is, right? And then what do you know? So Beauchamp has all these options about what he might do with the tiger. Do you like any of them? No, I hate all of them. And if you had been Rob, what would you have said in defense? I would have said, Beauchamp, maybe you could donate this tiger to the zoo, and then you will be a local hero for saving a tiger. Maybe Beauchamp would like being the local hero and being in the newspaper, but knowing Beauchamp, maybe he'll be like, kid, I'm already a local hero. Now, if you don't shut up, then I'm gonna kick you out of town. That sounds sort of more like the real Beauchamp, but who knows? Maybe he'll like himself being in the newspaper and just the news itself, if they have a television. And I have another question. What do you think that this book is set? Maybe present time, but I think it's a little back in time. This itself, the book itself was actually copyright. Wait, well, it was made in, 1 second please, 2001. And so this is 2001, but maybe it's just 2001, set in 2001, but it might have been set like we don't know, right? It might have been the book. Like, I know a book that was published in 1970 something, but actually it was talking about the 1800s. Like, it had a character in the 1800s. So when it was published doesn't really mean anything. So what do you think? When do you think that this was set in? It was at least set in 2001 or lower, right? Maybe the 1990s. That's my guess. And why is that Bochamp is giving this job to Rob? Because he's scared. Bochamp's scared of the tiger, right? What did you think about this? And if you had been Rob, though, would you have pointed this out? No, that would have made Bochamp angry. And then I think that we all know what Bochamp is going to do. Or at least we can imagine, right? And now, do you really think that Rob is gonna agree when Sistine's like, we gotta free that tiger? Do you think that he's gonna agree or not? And if you have been Rob, would you have agreed or what do you think? And finally, I have one last question before we're gonna go on to chapter 20, okay? And my last question here is about Bochamp. And didn't the Bochamp right here, so he owns the Kentucky Star Motel and Rob works for him, right? No one works for him, but Dad does. And do you think that Rob, even if Bochamp is like intimidating, do you think that Rob really cares about him? And also, do you think that Rob will get out of Bochamp's hotel one day and they're just gonna go somewhere else? And Rob and his dad, and they're gonna live happily ever after, somewhere that is not in that is not in Bochamp's place? Hopefully, and I'm pretty sure maybe they will. Now, chapter 20. So now, do you think that Bochamp, do you think that Rob will say to Sistine, okay, let's go and get the tiger, or not? What do you think? And so, do you think that Bochamp will also find out if they free the tiger? And what do you think he's gonna do if he finds out? If they free the tiger. That's a lot of ifs though, so who knows if that's actually gonna happen. And so they just keep on running, right? They need to save that cat. And now, do you think that but then before that suddenly Rob was like, no. If you had been Sistine, how would you have felt? If you had been in Sistine's point of view, how would you have reacted? I would be like, Rob, are you kidding me? Free that tiger. Don't be so passive and scared and cautious. Because being cautious is good. Like, if just walk into these waters not knowing that it's shark infested. But Rob, it's like waters. And he looks around like he's like, is this shark infested? Is it shark infested? Is it shark infested? It's sort of like that. He's a little too cautious and too passive, sort of too afraid to do anything, which I don't really like. So I think that he has to stand up for himself, do what he believes in. And I don't think that it would be not freeing the tiger. And then suddenly Sistine was crying. Why is Sistine crying? Right? Why? What do you think? And so, how do you think that maybe Rob's hand sort of helped her maybe calm down or make her happier again? What do you think? And why is Sistine crying? What again? Oh, the tiger's trapped, and maybe she sort of understands the pain that he feels, and he wants the tiger to be free, but it isn't, and she knows, and that feeling is so bad, she's crying. I think that's at least that's my guess, and I think in my estimate that I, at least hopefully, am right. Now, chapter 21. So that is when they meet Willie Mae. What do you think about Willie Mae? And so Sistine thought that Willie Mae was maybe like a prophetess, right? Do you think that Willie Mae really is a prophetess, or do you think just a normal person? And so, do you think why isn't that maybe Sistine thinks that Willie Mae is a prophetess anyway? And so, I have a question. Do you think that Willie Mae here, if she found out about the tiger, do you think that she would have said, "Oh yeah, you definitely need to free the tiger," or do you think that she was like, "No, please don't free the tiger"? What do you think? Well, we're gonna have to find that out, right? And so actually this chapter was pretty short, so let's go on to chapter 22. So now Beauchamp, right? So Beauchamp, you know, that meat that he said, so Rob said that it came from Beauchamp, and it's true. And if you haven't Rob's father, how would you have felt about that? So, but in the end, Rob's father doesn't teach Beauchamp a lesson, right? Because after he said, "I ought to teach him a lesson," that's what he said first. But now he's like, but he doesn't do it. Why do you think it doesn't do it? And do you think that not doing it was the wise decision? Yes, because if he did do it, then he might get fired, and that wouldn't be good. So, what do you think is a thing that we can learn from this? Well, one thing that we can learn from this is learn to control yourself, right? If Rob's father hadn't controlled himself, he'd be like, "Beauchamp, you were such a mean dude," that you would have screamed, right? And shouted, and then he would have been fired. No money, no income. They're already pretty poor. That wouldn't work. So, yeah, you need to choose when to fight, and at times you have to hold back, even if it takes all your might to do that. So, now, how do you think that the memories of Mom maybe help Rob in a way? Well, it does help because the small memories, like I said, they're like forbidden candy, and even if candy isn't good this time, it might be good, right? And just remembering this, those are the happy times, and dark days, maybe the happy times will help, right? Maybe that will help and sort of lighten up the day, and yeah, and maybe Rob will be more happy about everything. So, finally, why do you think that the chapter ended like this? Outside the motel room, the world creaked inside. The rain started in again, and his father's hands were gentle as he applied the ointment to Rob's legs. Why isn't that's coming up? Why do you think that is so important? Why do you think that Katie Camillo thought, okay, I'm gonna end it this way? I mean, she just didn't do this randomly, right? She just wasn't like, "Ugh, I'm so tired of writing chapter 22. I'm just gonna finish it right here. Done." She just didn't do that. She didn't do that. No, she did it for some other reason. What do you think that reason is? What do you think? And this is an opinion question. We don't actually know the answer. Even I don't know the exact answer, and probably nobody will, right? It's all opinion. But in my opinion, I think it's because we leave up at this calm, peaceful scene, right? Not like some other chapters. And it's just really a beautiful moment when even Rob and his father are having this peaceful moment, right? This peaceful moment. The chapter draws in with this peaceful, wonderful moment. I think that's why, maybe. I don't know why I'm speaking in whispers, but I think because it's such a peaceful moment, I'm just trying to make that peaceful moment right here. Now, chapter 23. Here, so now that is when Rob tells Willie Mae about the tiger. And so, but before that, I wanted to talk about, actually, sorry, sorry, I'm really sorry, that isn't it, right? This isn't the chapter when Willie Mae learns about the tiger. Real sorry, I'm really, really sorry. This is when they give the bird. Oh, I got mixed up. But anyway, how do you think that the bird really helped Willie Mae just that from that reflection? Even if it was even if it wasn't the bird. And do you think that Willie Mae, if you have a Willie Mae, would you have liked it, and why? Because it reminds her so much. It's so lifelike, right? And it just looks so beautiful. And so now, do you think that Willie Mae is a good friend? And how do you think that why do you think that Rob carved Cricket anyway? And so yeah, why didn't that he carved Cricket? I mean, just as a gift, I guess, but also why? And do you think that he's also gonna carve the tiger? Well, I think he already did. Yeah, he's planning on carving the tiger. And I have a question here. So far, all the things he's carved, what is one similarity? What's one trait all about them? They're all important in Rob's life. Sistine, that tiger, Cricket, everything's so important in Rob's life. Like the real monuments of Rob's life, the real mementos. And I think that if you want to see back on his life, just order all those pieces of wood together, and you're like, oh yeah, this one represents this one represents Sistine, and he'll just remember, right? So that's actually a good idea, and maybe you could also collect some mementos. Chapter 24, and that is when Willie Mae, right? That is when Willie Mae learns about that tiger. But before that, do you think that Willie Mae really actually believed Sistine and Rob? And if you had been Willie Mae, would you have believed them, or would you be like, oh, dumb kids? What do you think? And so, do you think that Willie Mae, right? Willie Mae and Sistine, do you think that they actually go together? And so also, Sistine says she likes fighting, right? And so Sistine even said, I want to get into fights. I want to hit them back. Sometimes I hit them first. What do you like to go into fights? Like what do you like to do? I like to work it out first, and if that doesn't work, and if that kid starts fighting, then I fight a little, but I of course tell the teacher, and I don't. So, what if you have been Willie Mae, like what is this like to you? Like if you heard, I saw this tiger locked up in a cage, like what would be as surprising as this in your life? Like have you ever experienced something that's as surprising as this? Chapter 25. And if you had been Willie Mae and you saw that tiger, how would you have reacted? I'd be like faint. I just fainted, people. I'd be really, really, really surprised. You think that Beauchamp has the right to own a tiger, a living thing? No way! He doesn't, right? He should get kicked out. And so Beauchamp, I'm pretty sure, doesn't actually get caught. If you had been robbed, what would you have done? I'd be like, Beauchamp, sorry dude, but you're going to the police. 911. Hey police, oh yeah, there's this criminal owning the Kentucky Star Motel. Yeah, come and pick him up whenever you want. Yeah. Yeah, he got a tiger. Yeah, 50 years in jail. Oh, yeah, I mean, not 50 years in jail, but let's pretend it's 50 years. 50 years in jail, yeah, okay. 65,000 hours of community service, yeah, okay. And then after that, okay, sure thing. Goodbye. Oh yes. Oh really? Yes. About the fines. He also has to pay a $90 million fine. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Some of those things were really unrealistic, but my point is, I just wanted to make it really humor, but yeah, really funny. But my real point is that I would have called the police out, but like, Beauchamp, there's a criminal here, like that, right? And I didn't actually know what the fine and penalty, the penalty is. I don't know, but I suspect that isn't the best, right? It has to be something that isn't good. Go. How do you think that the scratching is maybe making the rash worse? What do you think? And then, so when they were going back to the Kentucky Star, it said that Rob knew what he had to do. And what do you think that was? Free the tiger? I thought so. And then, but then also Sistine got angry, right? And so this is when Rob realizes that your daddy ain't coming. And even if he actually isn't coming, and so why? Well, his daddy's sort of like a fraud and a liar, and I don't really expect that daddy will come, right? I mean, when Rob said that, I was like, yeah. But before that, I didn't really expect it. But now, as Rob says, I know it, right? And Sistine said, my daddy is coming to get me. But Rob says, nah, he ain't. He's a liar, like your mama said. And Sistine replied as, you're the liar, and I hate you. Everybody at school hates you too. Even the teachers. You are a sissy. I never see you again. She turned and walked away, and Rob stood and considered her words. She left them on his skin like shards of broken glass. He was afraid to move. He was afraid to see how deep they might go inside him. Now, do you think that she actually, Willie Mae said she didn't actually mean it, but do you think she actually did mean it? And if so, and do you think that Sistine actually was sort of thinking that maybe her father wouldn't come, but she just didn't want to think about that possibility, even if she sort of knew about that, but she just wanted for her father to come. No, she didn't want to believe that she was going to stay. Yeah, I think that's what happened, right? Anyway, chapter 26. Okay, and then Sistine, if you have been Sistine, would you have been like, and would you have just walked away, or would you have just said, it's fine? What do you think? I think I would have something like, it's fine, but even if I would have been mildly annoyed, even if maybe I didn't know that Rob was sort of right? Oh, right, that was cool. I like when I say like two words at the same time. I mean like one after another, the same words. I don't know why, but I just like that. And then Sistine and Rob go to free the tiger. And do you think that they should free the tiger, or do you think that it's like a big no-no and that they definitely should not? If they do that, that's gonna just cause some big problems, and that's not good, so just please don't do it. What do you think it is? Now, chapter 27. And do you think that the tiger is gonna attack or try to eat Rob or Sistine, or do you think it's just gonna walk out? And so when Rob flung the door outside, right? And Sistine said, you're free. But the tiger didn't even look in the direction. Do you think that it was even noticing us in a cage, or do you think that it was like too traumatized? And why do you think that Rob was suddenly like furious, right? In this paragraph it said this. Go on, Rob shouted, suddenly furious. He shook the cage, howled, he yelled, he put his head back and howled, and he saw that the sky above him was thick with clouds, and that made him even angry. He yelled louder, he shouted at the dark sky, he shook the cage as hard as he could. Why do you think that he's just so furious and mad and angry? It's sort of like maybe he did all this for the tiger. No, the tiger isn't even coming on. It's like, argh, right? Probably that's how maybe I would feel, but I've never had that experience. If I ever do, then I'll tell you how I feel. Maybe like, I think that I can also write in the comments, and I'll also be like, this is how I felt, blank. That is if I actually meet that, but there's 99.99999999999999999% chance that I will not meet a tiger, like, and locked in a cage, and I'm gonna set it free. But even if I do meet a tiger locked in a cage, I'm pretty sure I could not set it free. And if I could set it free, I'm pretty sure it would just sleep out, and I wouldn't be like, argh, I wouldn't be shaking the bars. I don't know. So, but if I ever do, I will say. And then, so the tiger leaped and bounded and went away. And how do you think that the tiger rising, how do you think it sort of fits in with the book? Okay, and since we've read actually the whole book, then you can also answer from after this chapter. You can also answer, and then also Willie Mae also said something. Let's see if I can see it. If I can't, then I don't know. But I think I actually saw something, but I might be totally wrong. Let's see. Okay, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Sorry about that. I thought that there was that sentence, but I guess I was wrong. Oh, here it is. It said this. Willie Mae said this. Let me tell you something. I would love to see this tiger rise on up out of this cage. Yes, I would like to see him rise up and attack Blue Jam, serve him right for keeping wild animal locked up, putting you in the middle of this, giving you the keys to this. Come on. She grabbed hold of Robson. Let's go on up out of here. So it's a tiger rise. Big thing, right? I think that was sort of like a clue. Sort of. Yeah, it was a big clue. Right? And that was actually when bang! Bang! Right? And there was like a crack of a gun. And the tiger was dead. After everything that Rob had done for the tiger, now the tiger is dead. Did you expect the tiger to die? Is this school appropriate? Oh, it is, but I'm just saying your opinion. Do you think that it's okay for the tiger to die? Shouldn't the tiger live? Shouldn't this be a happily ever after fairy tale? Why did Katie Camillo added this tragedy in this? What do you think? And here's one. What maybe might be a theme here? I know it's sort of hard. And how did you react to the crack of the gun? I was like, what? And I was like, argh. Yeah, and I was really mad. And do you think that was all Robert's dad's fault? And finally, Robert sort of just really unleashed all his anger that he had been bottled up in his suitcase. Well, then it would be suitcase up, really, but and that's actually a word, but I'll just call it bottled up. Bottled up in his suitcase, and now even a bottle too much and it explodes, right? And I'm just gonna read this part, right? And so it said this: Willie Mae led them back, and when Rob saw the tiger on the ground and his father standing over it, holding the rifle, he felt something rise up in him, and anger as big and powerful as the tiger. Bigger. You killed him, he said to the tiger. I had to, his father said. That was my tiger, Rob screamed. You killed him. You killed my tiger. He ran at his father and attacked him. He beat him with his fists. He kicked him, but his father stood like a wall. He held the gun up over his head, and his eyes opened and took each hit without blinking. And Rob saw that the hitting wouldn't be enough, so he did something he thought he would never do. He opened his suitcase, and the words sprang out of it, coiled and explosive. I wish it had been you, he screamed. I wish it had been you who died. I hate you. You ain't the one I need. I need her. I need her. The world and everything in it seemed to stop moving. He stared at his father. His father stared at him. Say her name, Rob screamed into the silence. Say it. It's Caroline, his father whispered with the gun still over his head, with his eyes still open. And so that Rob was like, bang, bang, bang. Machine Gun Rob just came in, right? It was like, he was so angry that Fury was like this snap, 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 right? Just like bang, bang, bang. And so, I think that's what really happened to Rob. And, like all his anger just exploded. Yeah, I think that is what happened. And when his father said Caroline, how did that help the dad? Right? How do you think it helped Rob's father? We've seen sort of how it maybe helped Rob, but what about Rob's father? Do you think it's the same reasons? What do you think? And do you think that is all Rob's father's fault? And have you ever exploded? Maybe you haven't been keeping all your anger in, but just exploded. I've exploded when I worked on this masterpiece art. And then I found out that I'd mistaken as trash and thrown away because it was on the other side, and so it just looked like a blank white piece of scratch paper. So, So anyway, we are gonna now talk about the tiger's funeral, right? And before that, I have a question. Bill Champ didn't find out about it, but when he sees that his tiger's gone, how do you think that he's gonna react, and who do you think he's gonna blame? He's gonna probably blame Rob, but I'm pretty sure Rob's father's gonna be like, we quit. Who knows? We actually don't know. Maybe we do know. Let's see. Even I have forgotten a little. Let's just see. Now, chapter 29. So, do you think that the tiger, that was a really good burial ceremony? I really like that ceremony. But when you were reading it, how did you feel? I actually felt really emotional, and it was so sad. But at the same time, it was so good, and I really liked it at the same time. So I liked it at the same time. It's a little painful, but I still liked it a lot. And I really like that poem, Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. It says, Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deep skies burned the fire of thine eyes? Or what wings dare he aspire? And after that, she can't remember. But isn't that amazing? And then Rob just said that he loved the tiger, right? So in the end, do you think that was a really good burial ceremony? And do you think that's the ceremony you want if you die? No, I don't really want to talk about this, but I don't know. Maybe I would like it. Yeah, I think I would like it. It's so peaceful and everybody, and I just really like it. It's honoring the tiger a lot, and I really like this ceremony. Maybe I'll do it. And maybe I'll do some kind of ceremony like this if any of my relatives die. I'm not saying I want them to die. I'm just saying if they die, because this seems like such a good ceremony, right? I really liked it. It was the best ceremony any tiger could ever have. And there's a lot of tigers in the world, even if they are endangered. Now, chapter 30. And how do you think that maybe the tension between Rob and his father, like Leslie, like if this tension was like this with lines, and it was right now it's like this, right? Yeah, how do you think that the tension was sort of lessened? And if it was, did you like that? And now, but do you think that Rob should tell Bill Chan the truth? And what does that really show about Rob? And how do you think that he changed because of that? Well, he's got more courage now than before, which I really like. So I'm like, great for Rob, right? I was really happy for Rob. And so, what did you think about the ending of the book? Did you like it? And how did you like the ending of the book? Yeah, well, how did you like it? Well, I hope that you really liked it, because I loved it. And now, we are actually finished with The Tiger Rising. Awesome! We are finished! Woo! I'm so happy that we got finished. I'm also a little sad, but at the same time, I'm so happy that you, listener, got through this awesome, amazing book. I personally loved it, and I hope that you also loved this book. Now, for a few last questions, what was your favorite part in these chapters? What was it? Yes, 13 to 30, or to just the end. And what was your favorite part in the whole book? Well, in chapters 13 to 30, I liked when they set the tiger free. I mean, before the tiger was killed. And in the whole book, I still like when they set the tiger free. And then, how did you like the book? I love this book. What about you? What are the words you would maybe use to describe this? Or maybe use a simile. Maybe you could say, I love this book. This book is like ice cream, right? It's as yummy and delicious as ice cream, right? Or maybe this time you could do a metaphor like this book is candy. It's so good, right? So maybe a metaphor this time. Metaphor, people. Because simile is good enough, but today I wanna make you use some metaphors. Actually, they're pretty fun to use, and they're actually pretty easy. Now, so what was your favorite character in the book? Mostly I like Sistine, but Rob was also good. But I liked Sistine, but I think I also really like the tiger. So if you want, you can do 2 or 3 this time. Well, I really like Sistine and the tiger, but I also like Rob. Yeah, but so I like Sistine and the tiger. Now, what was your least favorite character? Bill-chan for sure. And now, for predictions. What do you predict is going to happen next? Like, do you think that Rob's father is going to get fired? And also, do you think that Sistine is just going to live there for the rest of her life? And do you think that Sistine and Rob are ever going to go to the Sistine Chapel? Maybe so, right? Do you think that how do you think that Rob's future life is gonna be like? What do you think that Rob will be doing 5 years from now? Where do you think that he's gonna be? What do you think that he's gonna be doing? So again, I hope that you really enjoyed this amazing book, The Tiger Rising. And I really hope that you enjoyed. And I had an awesome time recording this video, and I hope that you had an awesome time with me. Bye! And also, this book says bye.